Okay, here we are in my little nook upstairs, and we're going to talk about making a Suffolk Puff. In America, they call them yo-yos, but they're commonly referred to as a Suffolk Puff, and that's what these are. They're so sweet and beautiful and add a whole bunch of texture to projects. I've made a little pile I'm working on in the evenings to add to my slow stitching projects. And for example, here's a beautiful piece that I've been working on, and a puff would add so much texture and 3-dimension, and this would be lovely tacked down to this particular project. It's all, this is a piece of Liberty scrap that I made a bunch of circles of, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. But there's these beautiful French General fabrics that really are sort of traditionally vintage in feel and design and color. So this kind of little traditional Suffolk Puff, which is a very old sort of needlework. They used to make whole quilts out of them, all just sewn together with air in between, little comforters and that sort of thing. So Suffolk Puffs today are a super simple thing to do. Take a really short amount of time, especially sitting in front of the TV in the evening or whatever, or at your favorite chair, or taking a little mindfulness break with your slow stitching. And all I do, this is about, I would guess, maybe 4 inches circle. And what it started out was I just tore a bunch of my scrap fabric into 4-inch squares, and I just trimmed off the corners. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can instead you could take like a saucer from a teacup, or you could take a dinner, if you want them a little bigger, a dinner plate or a salad plate, and turn it upside down and trace around the outside and snip. But all you need is a rough circle. It does not have to be perfect. And then you need a needle and thread, and you need a pair of scissors and my glasses. So you take the right side of the fabric and turn it face down. And there are 2 ways to do it. You can either leave it raw edged in the middle. This is a fold under. I like the folded under look. But if you leave it raw, you just do a running stitch around, like a basting running stitch around the whole outside of the circle, and then drawstring it in upon itself and tack it down. I, on the other hand, like a more finished edge, so I will be turning this under just a little bit. And again, does not have to be perfect. Literally, this is a situation where all of this puff and flow, all the texture is sort of drawn into the middle and makes a flower or textury a petal of a flower if you use 5 of them in the circle with a center. And this one, you can, when you tack it down, you can add beads, a pearl to the center. You can add another smaller puff to the inside, a piece of felt that looks like you've cut sort of as a stamen, wool scraps, additional fabric can come out of the middle. There's so many options for decoration and embellishment with these. So we're going to just get right to it. I turn it under. I knot my thread. This is just construction thread. I'm using Coats & Clark today because it's what was handy. And just a little construction needle. And you just go in and out all the way and turn it under as you go. So it doesn't have to be regular. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything but a running stitch that you work in and out. And again, it's turned under, but it doesn't have to be exact. And then as you go, you just sort of use your left thumb or opposite thumb, the non-dominant thumb, to sort of tuck that turned down. And I see there's little puff pleats and stuff that happen. Just keep going. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't matter, because when you drawstring that all in, it's not going to show. It's not going to, any inconsistencies are going to be drawn into the gathers. So around we go, and we're going to go all the way around the outside with the raw edge turned under to the wrong side, right side down, obviously, away from you, so that you can enjoy that pretty puff. Actually, I shouldn't say wrong side, because maybe some of you like the look of this faded thing, and that would be the right side to you. instead of the brighter of the Liberty fabric. And on the topic of Liberty fabric, my daughter was in England not too long ago and stopped by Liberty and brought me these little packets of scrap. It's the Tana lawn. They're just beautiful, vintage, old, fashioned prints that I love to use in my handwork. And she brought me a whole little packet, maybe half a dozen or so of those little, it's almost like a little fat quarter cut of Liberty end bolt, and to use in my projects. I've got yardage too. You can find sources for Liberty. They're manufacturing Liberty to release in America now, that you can find it at upscale quilt shops and online. So Liberty is easy to find, but it's really thin, almost sheer, almost the weight of silk. Their Tana lawn is just an extraordinary quality fabric to use in your work. And I love this little print. It goes with earthy tones. It can work into a pink colorway. It can work into a beige or creamy colorway, or go with autumn colors as well. This more sort of bricky coral is really speaking to me right now. So anyway, round we go. Let's not get distracted, Beth. Keep working. So this is just our little chit chat while we take a few moments to slow stitch, which I'm trying to do this summer every day. I'm trying to take about a half an hour or an hour, whatever I can afford in my schedule, to just slow stitch and center myself, think about things, projects I'm preparing or have on the go at the moment. And I finished the Quilt of Valor that I've been working on, and I'm shipping it today. It's all packaged and ready to go. It's just waiting for errands when I rush off to the post to send it in the mail. It's going all the way to Georgia to be finished by the quilt top designer and constructor, my friend Stacy Olson at Stacy's Sewing Studio, who did a beautiful job piecing this beautiful quilt. So that's finished and I have no customer quilts down there waiting for me at the moment, which is good because tomorrow night I go into Los Angeles for a day's work on Friday. So having fun with a little flurry of The Young and the Restless, which I would love to. Every single day I'm there is a vacation for me. I just love it there. My family from 40 plus years of showing up welcome me every time I'm back, and I'm so grateful that that's still in my life and that I still get to see those beautiful people and apply my trade as an actor, which I believe to be my avocation. Anyway, so round we go, and as we get closer and it gets, you're seeing, I hope, how imperfect this is allowed to be. It's very forgiving process. In and out, in and out, in and out, up and down. It's part of the mindfulness of this slow stitching, doing it by hand. You could do it on the machine. There are videos I'm sure you can find on YouTube that show you the technique, and it both ways are possible. The raw edge center and the turned under edge center. There are techniques to do it on a sewing machine, but we're learning about returning to a slower stitch practice, this sort of meditation time and feeling things tactile in your hands with so many things that we order online and don't actually get to even see what real color it is until it arrives, with so many sort of impersonal options. It's really fun to have fabric in your hands, to have thread and needle and poke holes in your fingers if you forget your thimble. And it's part of what I'm really enjoying about returning to hand stitching. Several of my favorite quilters online do their quilts by hand. I still am just so in love with my long arm and free motion embroidery and all of that creativity it allows. I don't think I'll ever hand quilt. I know how to, but I don't know that I ever will want to spend that time. But slow stitching small projects has really become very gratifying for my close of the day mindfulness practice. Just making me feel sort of like I'm aware and the master of my time and effort and my life right now. So then you just pull the drawstring closed. Sorry, I'm dropping it. You just pull the drawstring closed and look at that. It's like a little pouch of loveliness. You make the center turn in toward itself in the center of that. I'm hoping that's good on camera that you can see. And again, if this were raw edged, this would be a very rough and frayed top coming out, which is great for more primitive applications because I'm doing mine a little bit more formally and traditionally. I wanted to turn mine in. I've done it both ways. Again, both ways have their beauty. And I like to tack mine down now. You can tie off and just leave it as a puff and manipulate the sides to have the center down low if that's how you want it to look, and bunch up these things to make other petals. You can work with this any way that you see it working for your project. For me right now, because like I said, mine are more traditional what I'm working on right now, I'm going to be tacking all of these gathers down, and here's how I do it. I haven't tied anything off. The drawstring is still flexible. So this is the first time that I'm going to have to backtrack and actually sew through. So I'll go through to the back and pull it down. Now I'm finishing the flexibility of that drawstring. So I'm going to come back up and just work my way around all the gathers, tacking them down to the backing. And I'll do a couple, and then I'll show you the back of one that's finished. In, out, up, down, that's all it is. If you can sew on a button, you can slow stitch. You can make a Suffolk Puff. If you can follow a line and not even, you don't even have to cut in a complete circle. You just round off the edges, and see how that wasn't a perfect circle, and it doesn't matter because of all the gathers and the folds of this very delicate, beautiful fabric. And all kinds of fabrics work for this. You can do them out of velvet. You can do them out of lace even. You can make all different kinds of looks. Quilter's cotton works great. The heavier fabrics are a little harder to sew. You might not want to forget your thimble in those eventualities. The heavier upholstery fabrics, brocades and damasks look just gorgeous. You can make them bigger. You can make them smaller. And like we talked about, there can be beads in the center, a big bead as a center element, fabric that you tuck away inside that can come out in the center of that will work great. And again, as long as I've got a little thread left, I'm just going to go all the way around that circle, tack it all down, and then tie it off. And then it's ready to apply to whatever surface I choose. We'll take a look at the back of one of these that are done. So it's sort of got these little tack stitches that show. And again, if you decide to use the back as the element that you're sewing down, you can cover those stitches with beads or thread stitching, embroidery floss and threads coming in to add maybe a yellow would be pretty in the center of that. Some yellow pearl cotton embroidery. You could do French knots, fill it up with French knots. All of that would be just beautiful. So this is a Suffolk Puff, and you have learned today how to make one in a few simple steps. Easy peasy, takes less than 5-10 minutes, and you've got a lovely decoration for your slow stitching. Hey, we'll see you next time for something new.